Alright, let's talk about Urza's Bloodlines project. So this is a lore topic request. If you want to add your own to the list, let me know in the comments. So as a brief recap, Urza was a planeswalker who existed a long time ago in Magic lore. His running battle with Phyrexia, his sort of Cold War with Phyrexia over the course of like 4,000 years, is the center of a lot of early Magic lore. And while Urza built a lot of machines and artifacts and things to help with the war, he had another darker project. That is the Bloodlines project. So the Bloodlines project was twofold. He would make small genetic alterations to a select group of people without their knowledge or consent. And then over the centuries, he would manipulate who they married and combine favorable genetic traits. We have several legends that are results of this project. Rain, who is one of the professors from the Tellurian Academy, is a result of the Bloodlines project. The hero Sisay is another. And because Shauna is her descendant, she still has some remnants of the Bloodlines project. Gerard was a product of the Bloodlines project, as was Hannah. And if you're thinking, wow, that's a large amount of the original Weatherlight crew, you'd be right. That was the point. You see, for his legacy weapon, Urza needed one of the people from his Bloodlines project in order to enact it. It ended up being Gerard, but it could have been any of those characters I just mentioned. Urza's problem was that the Phyrexians were hunting down his Bloodlines project and ending them. So Gerard was an orphan raised in Jamura, and Sisay's parents were killed at a young age. And in fact, neither Gerard nor Sisay knew about that history. The point of this project was to create the heroes with the characteristics to be leaders during the Phyrexian invasion. While traveling the multiverse and trying to rally other planes against him, he found that people didn't believe him. And so rather than working on his persuasiveness, he decided to alter people. Now, there was a second, even darker phase of this project. This is where Urza created essentially a clone army to fight Phyrexia. This army is known as the Metathran. So if you've ever seen these strange blue people, Urza genetically engineered them to fight as basically a slave warrior race. He's not a good guy. And so the reason you see them all over like the invasion and stuff is because they were sort of the disposable foot soldiers that he used. There was also an offshoot of the Bloodlines project where one of the student researchers who was working on it ends up betraying Urza, taking the research and going to the highest bidder, basically. He ends up enkeld. Now, originally, the Keldons were just sort of a human warrior clan, but Gotha used the technology Urza was using in order to modify the Keldons. And this is sort of why Keldons now have a lot of, like, the gray-skinned, more brutish physiques. And to make matters worse, this was Phyrexian technology that Urza was using. That is how the Phyrexians were able to find his bloodlines, find the Keldons that had been modified, because they had been modified using Phyrexian tech and Phyrexian DNA. Now remember, at this time, Phyrexian wasn't like a disease like New Phyrexia was. Phyrexia reserved completion for themselves, the chosen people. So they really didn't like that there were all these creatures out there that were enhanced using their tech. And also I want to be very clear here, Urza's way of trying to win this war was not the only possible way. There's sort of a justification behind the scenes that, oh, well, Urza was fighting Phyrexia and he won, so therefore what he did was good. But there's nothing about this that was good. Urza would be the villain of this story if Phyrexia wasn't so much worse. Eugenics is bad. I shouldn't have to spell this out, but sometimes for people in the magic community, they don't quite understand that. And not only was this not the only way to defeat Phyrexia, Urza basically ignored or undermined any other potential option other than what he thought was best. But anyway, that's the history of the Bloodlines.